Okay, guys, now you are in the right place if you felt frustrated that you've been working on your website seemingly relentlessly and you're still not getting the conversions you want. It feels like you're putting in all the time, but somehow people are going to your site, they're looking around, and then they're bouncing. They're not filling out that inquiry form. That is incredibly frustrating, and that's what we're here to fix today. Welcome to the webinar. This is 5 website mistakes that are killing your conversion. You might not even know that these things are happening, but I've got a little bit of expertise in this. I've got a lot of expertise. For the past 11 years, we've had Megan DePiro Photography, and we bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year off of Google and SEO. And so we know a lot about websites. Not to mention, for the past year, we've been running quite on the down low liftoff leads. It's about to explode next year. And during that time, we've seen a lot of people's websites and we've helped them get better conversion and see more traffic and even better leads coming their way. So we are going to tell you the things that we found that work really best. And we're going to take people from looky-loos to converted leads. That's what we want. So diving right in here, first thing to know is that people don't read, they scan. It's really important to understand that, because if you have your website set up and you don't have great headlines, you don't have great images, then people are going to just move on down the road. So we need to look at this F-shaped pattern. This is by the Nielsen Group. They found that people's eyes tend to scan, of course, if they're English speaking, from left to right across the top, and then they take a little jump down and they go from left to right again. This makes this F shape that you can see very clearly in the middle graphic. And because of that reading pattern, we want to put that into our website to start that and get people more excited to see what we want them to see. So this is our site here, Megan DePiro Photography. You can see that we're putting this eye pattern test to work. We have clients go across the top row, left to right, and that's where they're seeing our menu bar and also our specials. We really want them to see that. When they land on the far right corner, they're going to see the most important thing we want them to see, the call to action. Book your session. And yes, we want them getting engaged with our specials too. Now, as they move down a little bit, they're going to come to our first headline. Really important that you're using headlines to grab attention, because remember, people are just going to scan your site. So we have our headline of look your best every time. That's one of the problems we solve for our clients, followed by yet another CTA, book your session. So as you're looking on mobile, it should also follow this pattern. Notice top left, moving to the right. We've got, once again, the banner page. Unfortunately, on mobile, it doesn't show the menu, but we still want to use that F-shaped pattern, get our headline in there, followed by our CTA. Guys, more than 50% of people are on mobile. So you have to make sure that as you're building your website, that you're taking care of mobile and making it as impactful, if not more, than your desktop. So this brings us to our first website mistake. After you hear this program, I want you to head to your website and answer this question for me. Do you have a clear call to action? Clarity is important. You want to have calls to action peppered throughout, but certainly in this F-shaped pattern at the top is so important. So I would always recommend to have your first call to action button in the top right of your website. Your next call to action button could follow the F-shaped pattern, or it could be just above the fold in the middle. Either of those places are going to be good. But notice, guys, I have 3 calls to action right away, right up there on the first page. And there's going to be more as the client goes through. The other thing you might want to know is that notice that this is very direct. It is clear, it is visible, and it is direct. We played with the idea of, do we want to use a cutesy call to action? Do we want to say, let's chat, or talk to me, or whatever else? No, we actually decided we don't want to do that, because that goes against the unambiguous message that we want to send, which is book your session. People are coming to your website and they don't want to waste time. They want to hear that you have the answer for them and they want to move forward. And that's exactly how I want you to think about using your website. This is not meant to hold clients for minutes and minutes at a time. It's not meant to take them on a ceaseless journey with you. This is about get in, get out. Let's talk. Let's book that session. So as quickly as you can get to that button, that's going to be your best friend. Now, I did say that we have more calls to action. Check it out, guys. This is just one of many pages that we have on our website. And as a client scrolls down and down and down, they are going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calls to action, all saying the same repeating message: nice, clear, and unambiguous, book your session. So think about that too as you're designing your site. Is your call to action prominent enough? And is it happening every couple inches? Don't let your client go too far without seeing another call to action. Next, on to website mistake number 2. Are you guilty of this? Lack of contact info. I see this all the time. It is so frustrating to me as a prospect, as someone going to a business owner's website, when I don't know how to reach them. There's no phone number. I don't know what area they're serving. Is this person in my market or aren't they? And you know me, guys, I love the phone. You want to cater to your clients' needs, and our most important thing is to get clients on the phone. So please, don't hide your number. Don't hide where you are. Let it be found. So as you can see, our site, when we send them to that really impactful call to action button, we want them to fill out a form. That form is super easy. It's asking for minimal things, but all of these fields are required: name, phone number, email, and then just get a message, get in, get out, get them into our inquiries. But notice that on this page, this is where our contact info is clearly displayed. So if a client wants to bypass the form and just dial us up, we would love that. If a client wants to know where we're located, they can find us very easily there too. So do you have that information? Your phone, your email, your address, are those things all present? You can also see that on every page on our website, we're using the footer. And on the footer, we're once again showing that information. This is great for SEO. So very important that you have that there. It's also great, like I said, for the client experience. And as our clients and our prospects are moving through this site, notice how many times we talk about the region. We say we are Southwest Florida's most trusted portrait experts. We are trusted by women across Southwest Florida. And there we even have Fort Myers and Naples Florida photographer. So are you telling people where you are? Now, guys, I don't want you to just keyword stuff. That is a big no-no. Google doesn't like it. Clients hate it. It sounds fake. It sounds disingenuous. So if you're going to put your region, put it in a way that feels conversational, that feels like a headline that would be appropriate. That's how you can add these things in and tell people they're in the right spot and they need to move forward with you. Website mistake number 3. Okay, I don't even have a visual example of this, but I'm betting we're going to find one because later on we are going to be looking at some websites. You guys have submitted your websites for critique, so you might be selected. I don't know if that's making you excited or cringing right now, but we are going to look at some websites and I bet you we're going to find this mistake right here. The idea of endless image galleries. Endless image galleries are a real no-no because it's not a great experience for your client. It's definitely not a great experience for SEO. What you want to do instead is focus on less is more. When people put these images, I'll describe it for you. It's like where you have a block of image, and you have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to get through it. And guess what? If that's hard to scroll past all of that on a desktop, imagine it on a mobile, because now your fingers are endlessly scrolling and they can only show 2 images at a time. You just never get to the bottom. So here's some reasons that you would want to nix this. First of all, it's just too overwhelming. You want to show people the best of the best. And I know it's really hard for us to kill our darlings, but sometimes you got to. If you're too close to your portfolio, get someone else to look at it and cull ruthlessly so that you're only showing the best of the best. When you isolate an image, you let that image speak for itself. When you jam it together in a gallery, you actually lose impact. So putting more images is not helping your user's experience. It's also really bad for SEO. Now, why is that? Well, the more images you have loading, that is going to slow down load time, and that is going to be a serious ding against you. Google does not like to see that. So very big, endless galleries is not a good thing. And like I mentioned already, it's going to be even longer on mobile, and we're getting our client away from where we want them to go. We want them to just hit that button. We don't want them being lost. We don't want them being overwhelmed. So let's try this instead. Here is my suggestion. If you are guilty of having that endless scroll gallery, try this. We have, as an example, this is our glamour page. Now, each of our pages shows different galleries, but on our glamour page, you can see that a client who lands on this page can kind of check some boxes. They can right away see, okay, well, she does women's portraits, men's portraits, couples, equestrian, and boudoir. So they're checking the box. And they're also doing some other things. They're noticing that this is a consistent voice. Now, that can be a challenge for some of you. I know that people shy away from putting multiple genres on a site because they worry, is that going to confuse my client? Guys, if you landed on this page, would this confuse you? I don't think so, because here you see one artist, one style, one voice, and we very carefully curated that. Now, as clients are going through, they see, cool, she's got the genre I want, and I like the way her images look. Perfect. If that's all they need, they can move on. That's what I want. I want them to go to that book your session button. But if they want to look deeper, they can do that too. So if a client were to click, for example, the women's beauty gallery, a pop-up gallery would show up. And I love the idea of scrolling galleries. Scrolling galleries or carousels or sliding galleries, this is a really good thing because, again, it's not hurting your load time. We're not loading everything at once. We're really just loading, in this case, 3 images side by side. And as the client clicks right or left, they can see more. Now, I am careful about curating this. I don't want a client to have to go 100 images deep. Some people feel compelled to finish what they started, and so they might not stop clicking until they get back to the beginning. A good target might be somewhere between 12 to 20 of your absolute best images, and make sure that the images feel related to each other and they communicate the voice that you're trying to show. If you've done that, the client can look at it, get a taste, check that box, and then in this case, they could easily X out and continue their scroll. That's exactly what I want. I want them to get in and get out. Another way you could do this is another example of a sliding gallery, and I know that this is something accessible to all of you who have Squarespace. Love this kind of sliding gallery. Again, this is on the front of my page because it quickly shows people that I do a lot of genres. I wanted to make that impact so they can see right above the fold before they even get too deep into the site, oh, she does families, couples, beauty, maternity, branding, glamour, seniors, and they can start to see all of that right here at a glance. If they wanted to keep scrolling, they absolutely could. But if they want to go deeper, they can do that too. The right to left gallery is the solution. I highly recommend it. Website mistake number 4. This one I see a little bit too often, and I get it. We are photographers. We're great at images, not necessarily great at copywriting. That's not our flavor. So I see this far too often, and it's the idea of generic, not compelling copy. You do want to be careful with this because websites are scanned for images, but they're also scanned for headlines and your supporting copy. So what you write matters. Now, as we're looking for some of the biggest copywriting sins, here's a perfect example. Oftentimes I see that people are catering too much to the Google bots and not to the actual human beings who are looking at things. So if I start to see things like keyword stuffing, I'm going to get really turned off as a client. If I see that you're using a headline, by the way, Google also ranks headlines higher than paragraph copy. If I see a headline popping out, but it looks just like all you're trying to do is get your SEO terms in there, I'm turned off. Use those headlines strategically and make sure you're using them to talk to a human being, to talk to their problem. The other thing, of course, is too rambly and unfocused. I start to see this a lot on about pages. And I know there was a trend a while back, it's still hanging with us, where people were taught that on your about page, you should tell about how many cups of coffee you drink and what places your dog likes to visit and a whole lot of personal information that is not relevant to the client at all. You want to instead talk about the client, focus on them, focus on their needs. If you start to get too deep into things about yourself, people tune out and they're not interested. They want to learn about themselves. They want to see themselves reflected back. This one is going to be an ever-increasing sin, the idea of reading like AI. So I know you guys are using ChatGPT, and ChatGPT certainly is smart, and it's a great jumping off place to start your web copy. But notice I said to start your copy. You don't want to just take whatever ChatGPT spits out and that's the end. You want to work with it, finesse it, give it some polish, personalize it, make it sound more like you. That's what we're going for. So if I read something and I can tell ChatGPT wrote it, that is a ding against you in my book. And then failure to address the client's pain points. I mean, honestly, this one should be number 1, but I wanted to put it last so we can talk about it for a minute because the purpose of you as a service provider is that you are not there to take pretty pictures. Like, I know that everyone thinks that's our job. We're photographers, right? No, we are service providers. We are experience engineers. And how you're going to stand out from the crowd is by helping your client know that you have the solutions to their problems. You are not just a pretty picture taker. You are not just a button pusher. You are someone who identifies with what they're trying to solve, what their stressors are, and you're the only answer. You're the answer to their prayers. Let your copy speak to that. Find your voice in that and let that copy develop so the client says, this is the person I need to hire. This is the button that I'm going to push to move forward with this person. So don't shortchange your copy. It's as important as your images. And if you need more help on this, I highly recommend this book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. This is going to help you clarify your message so customers will listen. And I want to give you guys a little spoiler alert into this book. This means that you want to position your client as the hero. Client as hero, not you as hero. Because if you're spending a lot of time on your website talking about your awards and your training and your life and your dog, then you are not talking to the client's needs. They are hearing a lot about you. They're not hearing about them. So what Donald Miller talks about is he talks about what is the problem the client has? How are you positioned to solve that problem, to be their guide on their journey? The client is the hero. That's so, so, so important. So I've taken in these concepts deeply. I use these concepts in all of my marketing, and it serves all of my websites. And it's a big reason why my copy is so impactful. Now, another little thing that you can look into is that if you're excited about Donald Miller, I know I am, he is my absolute hero, you should very much sign up for BobCon. Donald Miller is going to be there in person. It's the only time you'll see him at a photography convention ever, because I know I've been looking for him and he's not been there. And in addition, my copywriter, Josh Brammer, he's a StoryBrand certified guide, and he has worked on all of our websites from Megan DePiro Photography, Megan DePiro Coaching, Frame Suite, Liftoff, BobCon. So if you've ever been to any of our sites before and felt like you wanted to push that call to action button, you know how compelling copy can be, and you know that this makes a difference. So Josh is going to do a deep dive after Donald's program, and he's going to help you walk out with the perfect pitch so that you can move forward and cut through the noise and start being clear with your clients and helping them celebrate their journey. So next up, website mistake number 5 here is too much information. I'm talking about putting on too much information like pricing, process, products. And you might say, wait a second, I was taught that I'm supposed to have fill in the blank. I'm in many ways countercultural, and I'm going to tell you that advice is not ideal. I think the best advice I can share with you is to talk to the client, talk about their problem, and get them to move forward with you. We want to think about this as a first date. So in the analogy, we're really trying to date the client, right? But some of you guys are out there asking for the client's hand in marriage. If you present too much too soon, it's the same idea as walking up to someone at a bar and presenting a ring. That is not what we want. We need to be with the client throughout the stages. We need to let things unfold in an appropriate time. So for me, you might notice that as you look at my website, there is no wall art. No wall art anywhere. Why is that? The reason why is that I don't know about you guys, but my clients are not thinking about wall art when they come to my website. It's the furthest thing from their mind. They haven't even considered it. They're thinking they got a problem to solve. They've got stressors that they want to deal with, and they're trying to create photos. So I'm going to talk to them about how we can create photos that are going to solve their problems. I'm not talking to them about how we can create wall art, because that's not the problem they're bringing to the table. Now, I do sell a lot of wall art, hundreds of thousands of dollars of wall art a year. So how do I do that? If I'm not presenting wall art on the website, when do I present it? It's not on the website. It's barely on the phone call. Really, when I'm talking about wall art, we are talking about it in the in-home consultation. Why? Because that's where I can see their walls. If you want to sell wall art, you got to get to the walls, and you got to date your client and move forward in the process so that you're talking about it with them at the appropriate time. You can ask for their hand in marriage, sell that wall art, talk about those prices when the timing is right. So action items for you guys on this last bullet point here. Do consider removing products. I know that's crazy, but I can also tell you it's effective. People might be turned off and you don't even know it because you're talking too many steps ahead of them. Hold off on that wall art conversation. Have it when the time is right. Have it when the client is engaged. And when you're in front of their walls, that's when there's going to be the best opportunity. Talk about experience instead. You can talk about process to some degree. I like when people reveal what's ahead. Donald Miller talks about this a lot as the 1, 2, 3 process. The idea being, we're going to get to the top of the mountain, but how are we going to do it? Well, first, we're going to cross this stream, and then we're going to climb through the trees, and then we're going to go up there. It's 1, 2, 3. So I do like that idea of telling clients what's ahead, but in a sketchwork, simple form, not long form, not complicated, just here's a little vision. And last, of course, solve their pain points. Tell them what's special about you. Tell them about what's special about them. For our clients, you'll notice a lot of you deserve photos that make you feel beautiful and proud. That's something that we bring to our clients because we find that when we talk to clients, we're really looking for the type of client who's never felt good in photos before, who always feels like they're in the back of the class and they're the one who hates getting their headshots done or has a really hard time. All the family looks great and they always look the worst. That's the person we're talking to. So we're talking to that person. You can see that messaging throughout. Little tiny note on that. If you notice the copy that we have, remember that that was developed specially for our brand. So don't copy, don't steal, but do use it as inspiration to solve and talk about your own pain points. And last, remove almost all prices. Whew, okay, that's a big one because I know you've been taught to do otherwise. I know you've been taught to talk about prices, and I'm going to wipe that from your mind. Now, there is precedent for this. If you go to a business which is similar to ours, something like, for example, California Closets. California Closets, like us, is local, luxury, service-based. They are also doing custom quotes for their clients. They are creating something custom for each person, much like we do. Doesn't that sound like everything we do? So if you look at California Closet site, again, this is the kind of site and the kind of business that does $10,000 plus closet installations. So very much like a business we would want to align with. You will notice it takes many menus deep to even hear the first thing about price. Instead, they're leaning into their call to action, which is book your consultation, not unlike what we do, which is getting that client on the phone. So yes, I know people will tell you, experts in the industry, that you have to have your pricing, but I'm looking at other luxury businesses and I'm not seeing what they're talking about. I always look outside our industry for indications here. Now, it has turned out that some people said to me, oh, Megan, you're wrong because you do have pricing on your website. Now, true, I don't have an investment tab. I don't have a pricing button, but where might pricing be on my website? Remember I said remove almost all pricing. Here's where you're going to find it. Now, remembering that if a client drops onto your site, especially if they've been Google searching, this client doesn't know you from Adam, they don't have the no trust like factor that a referred client would have. So they might be a little bit more price sensitive. They might not know what's in store. We know that these clients are going to therefore be most likely to click on the specials tab. That's why it's in that very prominent call to action location and also at the top banner, the most important line. So when a price sensitive client clicks that, they're going to be dropped onto this page. And there's a couple great things working in our favor here. First up, we are showing, it's 2 high-res images for $490. So right away, if they're saying, what lot am I on? Okay, we're not a Kia lot. We're not a Rolls-Royce lot. We're a Lexus lot. We're expensive, but we're within reach. So they will say, okay, that's not like my shoot and burn photographer friend who's $250 for all images. She's talking $490 for 2 images. Okay. It starts to give them that feeling of where things are going. The other really important thing is make sure you have that compare at price. That $990, that regular price $990, it does wonders because people can look at that and compared with $990, $490 feels like a steal. So that's the effect of anchoring and then doing a value price. And this is where anyone who's price sensitive will land and they can make the decision to move forward or not. But all other pricing is off the site. I'm going to talk about that on the phone with people. Now, if you feel that you want to pre-qualify clients, then by all means, put your pricing all over your website. But for me, I would rather have much more opportunity. I would want to have a lot of clients filling out lead forms. And so having no pricing or little pricing allows people to move through the door so we can start talking together. So now that we've looked at the 5 biggest website mistakes, we are going to do some website reviews. Are you guys feeling courageous? Are you excited to see these? I have never seen them before myself, so I'm going to be acting, as will you, just like a new prospect landing on the site. We're going to see if we can find some of those do's and don'ts, and we're going to be looking out to see what is impactful and what is turning us off, and we're going to do those together. I'm going to be real nice about it, though, so don't worry, and we're going to learn right now. So Eric is flipping these for me.
I'm moving Megan down so we can see the premium real estate in the upper right of these websites, and I'm going to see if she notices the same things that I did. So this is the first time Megan's seen these. I'm just going to, in no particular order, I'm just going to pop one up here, and